Hi friends, today I'd like to read you a nonfiction information book about Rosa Parks, an American hero. Oh, and the title of the book is her name, Rosa Parks. This book is written by Kitson, Jazynka. Rosa Parks. Here's the table of contents. This tells us about some of the sections that are subtopics in this nonfiction book. Who was Rosa Parks? Can you imagine a world where white children could ride a school bus every morning, but black children had to walk? Can you imagine a world where black people couldn't drink from the same water fountains as white people or sit with them on a city bus? This world was real, and it happened in the United States. Some white people felt they should be treated better than black people. Segregation laws were used to give more rights and a better life to white people. Rosa Parks helped change these unfair laws by thinking and acting. She stood up for herself and others her whole life. Growing up. Rosa Parks was born as Rosa Louise McCauley on February 4th, 1913 in Tuskegee, Alabama. 1913, so she was born more than 100 years ago. She lived on a farm with her parents and grandparents. She was a small, quiet girl. She loved to read nursery rhymes and fairy tales like Little Red Riding Hood. She also helped take care of her little brother, Sylvester. Here's a picture of Rosa Parks when she was a young woman. Rosa's grandparents were born as slaves. They taught her that all people deserve fair treatment. When Rosa was a child, slavery was over. But white people still had more freedom than black people. One day, when Rosa was 11, a white boy pushed her. She pushed back. The boy's mother told Rosa she would go to jail. Rosa stood up for herself. She told them she didn't want to be pushed. Standing up for civil rights. When Rosa was 19 years old, she married Raymond Parks. They lived in Montgomery. She got a job as a seamstress in a department store. She sewed clothes to fit customers. Rosa Parks also worked to spread the word about civil rights. She attended meetings, rallies, and marches. She taught young people how to stand up for themselves. She helped people who were hurt by those who did not believe in civil rights. Standing up for civil rights was not easy, but Parks never gave up. And here is a little part about those words, civil rights, and what that means. It says, civil rights are the rights of all people to be treated equally. And so that's what Rosa Parks was standing up for, the right of all people to be treated equally. A seat on the bus. On the night of December 1st, 1955, Parks took the bus home after work. She sat down in a seat in the middle of the bus. After a few stops, the bus grew crowded. The driver asked Parks to stand so a white man could sit. She thought about the unfairness she'd faced all her life. She felt she had as much right to sit in the seat as anyone else, no matter the color of her skin. There's a picture of Rosa Parks on a bus. Parks looked the driver in the eye. In a quiet voice, she answered, no. She must have been scared. Black people had been arrested for refusing to give up a seat on a bus. Some had even been hurt or killed for doing the same thing. People on the bus, black and white, feared what would happen. The bus driver called the police. The police arrested Parks. At her trial, the court found her guilty of breaking a state segregation law. She was forced to pay a fine. Here are the police arresting Rosa Parks for not getting up out of that seat on the bus. Word spread about what had happened. Parks's act inspired people to stand up for fair and equal treatment. And here's a little explanation of that word inspire. It says inspire means to cause someone to want to take action. Well, I can understand that. I could imagine how people hearing about how brave Rosa Parks was on that bus might also want to take action. She inspired them. Black leaders asked people to protest unfair rules by taking part in a bus boycott. Now, a boycott is where people, let's read, there's a little explanation of that word right here. The act of refusing to use a service as a way to protest it, meaning people decided we're not going to ride the bus to show that we do not agree with these unfair rules, okay? A young preacher named Martin Luther King Jr. made a speech. He urged people to stick together. It was not easy for people to get to work and other places without the bus, but people kept the boycott going. It lasted more than a year. Finally, the Supreme Court ruled that everyone had the same rights on buses. Here's a photograph during the bus boycott. These are people who are boycotting the bus, waving to an empty bus as it drives by. They're all going to walk to work. Courage. Parks paid a price for protesting. After her arrest, Parks and her husband lost their jobs. Angry people threatened them. Finally, in 1957, they left Montgomery and moved to Detroit. In 1965, Parks took a job with a black congressman named John Conyers. For the next 20 years, she worked in Conyers' office. Parks continued to stand up for civil rights. She attended meetings and peaceful protests. She even helped black people fight unfairness in other countries, like South Africa. There's a picture of Rosa Parks holding a sign that says, "Freedom, yes." Remembering Rosa Parks. Many people know about Parks's life because she refused to give up her seat on the bus that day in 1955. But now you know she spent her whole life standing up for fair treatment. There's a picture of her with President Bill Clinton. He was president a long time ago. Rosa Parks died on October 24th, 2005 at age 92. After her death, she was given great honors like the ones presidents and soldiers receive. Thank you. I really enjoyed reading about this American hero, Rosa Parks. I wonder if you can remember some of the different facts about Rosa Parks that this nonfiction book told about that made her so special. Thank you so much for listening.